Insurance is often the last thing on your mind.
And the best time to prepare for eventualities is when we don't start our claims processes when there is a claim.
You can insure anything, and you can insure everything.
So if the bank is so much concerned about your property, which is just a small portion of their assets, then probably you should be more concerned. If you think you've heard the most dangerous things in life, wait until you meet an insurance salesperson.
Let's say a 5-bedroom house here in Airport Residential Area versus the same property at Dental Medina. Will it take the same amount to insure the two properties?
This is a very significant question that we hardly get asked. My answer is
finding this that actually breaks my heart now, because if I had known this maybe a little over a year ago, I would not have even needed more convincing. When you think about buying a home or investing in property, insurance is often the last thing on your mind. You're probably busy thinking about the land, the location, the finishes, the mortgage, but then we don't really take time to think about the what ifs. What if something goes wrong? But then here's the truth. In Ghana today, one flood, one fire, or even a break-in can wipe out everything you've been working for. And that's why property insurance comes in. And you can see that is the invisible safety net that most homeowners ignore until disaster strikes. Now, in today's episode, we're diving deep into a topic that doesn't get enough attention in Ghana's real estate space. And we'll be talking about home and property insurance. We'll talk about what it actually covers and how it can protect you and your biggest investment, that is your property. Now, to help us break it down, we have come to sit with Hollard Ghana. And this is a name that you already know for their innovative approach to protecting property and people. Now, I'll be speaking with Mr. Alexander Osei Mensah. He is the General Manager of Operations here at Hollard, and we will unpack different types of home insurance that Hollard offers, and also we'll explore how each one applies to homeowners, landlords, developers, and even tenants. We'll also tackle some very important questions. So whether you already own a property, whether you're developing one, or whether you're planning to buy one in the future, this episode will definitely open your eyes to the part of real estate that nobody really talks about. That is protecting your home, your investment. Alex, you're welcome to Ghana Ground Up. It's so much of an honor to have you here, and it's such a pleasure from us to also be with you at Hollard Ghana today. You're welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, and kudos to you and your team for a great job that you are doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having us. So to start with, generally in Ghana, when we talk about insurance, very often, I mean, it may seem like a no-brainer, but then a lot of people normally consider insurance as a second thought.
Yeah.
And they don't really delve into it until maybe something goes wrong. Maybe an accident, it could be a fire, a break-in, something goes wrong, and then everybody's now wondering, what could I have done to maybe soften the blow or, make things easier to bear? So we hear of insurance and all that. What is insurance and why insurance?
Okay, thank you very much. And your observation is very true. And it is quite unfortunate. As practitioners, we are aware of this.
Okay.
And we are doing whatever is possible to move insurance from being the last box that people check.
Okay.
To be, if not the first box, among the first boxes that have to be checked. So largely, insurance is just about preparing for the future.
Okay.
And the future that could be stricken by disaster. So typically when we speak of insurance, we are speaking of an event that is not desirable. And culturally, people don't want to hear about that aspect of our lives. Life was very linear.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it is not.
Okay.
And the best time to prepare for eventualities is when they have not happened.
Okay.
And that is what insurance seeks to do. So insurance will basically look at what risk somebody faces or what might go wrong, and then look at how do we prepare for that event that may go wrong. Okay. And possibly, in most instances, how do you recover? I say possibly because some situations can never be salvaged. An example is someone losing his or her life. But even in the economic impact of that departure can still be managed. So what insurance does is to look at a group of people who face similar risk and tell them that, look, this is likely to happen to some of you at a time that you do not know. At that moment, whoever suffered that misfortune will need to get back on track. So instead of waiting for that time, let us all contribute pieces of our finances together and prepare for that day, so that when the day comes, we go into that pool and fetch from the pool to support the few who may have suffered the loss. So typically you say it is the pooling of risk, or bringing together people who face similar risk for them to contribute towards helping those who may suffer that risk in future by getting them to pay some regular amounts, which you call premium. It could be monthly, it could be yearly, so that by the time the event happens, the insurance company would have accumulated enough to pay out. Indeed, the concept is very similar to what we have in our churches, in our mosques, in our communities, and in our families, where people do welfare scheme, where they will say no contribution, no chop. So in the church, when people lose loved ones, you see the church gather people, they are going for funeral. When they go, they make a donation, and they will say, oh, all the welfare members, we are here to support. Out of the person's welfare contribution, this is how much the person is due. Insurance is similar to that concept, just that it is more commercial and it is open. So I can't, for instance, go and join a community welfare scheme when I don't live in the community. What insurance will do is to open it up, so that once you are within the jurisdiction, you can join such a scheme. In simple terms, I think that's how we can take insurance.
This is very much simplified to the point where if you didn't have an idea of what insurance is or was, the complexities and all that have been demystified. And here in Hollard, I hear you have Hollard Insurance, and then you have Hollard Life. Yes, what is the difference?
The view of the business is to provide financial solutions to all Ghanaians, particularly when it relates to insurance. So before 2006, you could be an insurance company in Ghana and decide to offer what we call life insurance products and also non-life insurance products. Reflective of the name, life insurance products focus on insuring human lives. So typically funeral insurance, child education, savings plans, anything that borders on whether the person is living or the person is going to be with the Lord, or the person has suffered a critical illness. So life insurance business takes care of that aspects of the insurance business. I dare say that any other insurance, with the exception of health insurance, which falls directly under the health insurance scheme, and probably social insurance, which currently in Ghana is handled by the government through what we call the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT. All other insurances will now fall under what we call non-life insurance or general insurance. So typically we will insure buildings, whether they are used for private dwelling purposes. We would insure factories, we would insure machines in the factory, we insure road construction, we insure structures, we insure sometimes a certain aspect of even employee insurance will still come under the non-life insurance, what we typically call the Workmen compensation insurance. So they also come under non-life insurance. So we will call them accidents. We insure goods on the road. Typical one that almost everybody is familiar with, we insure vehicles on the road for the damage to the vehicle itself, and also for third-party liabilities that may result from injuring a passenger or a pedestrian. So if you take out the life insurances, all the other general insurances also fall under the non-life. And I'm saying before 2006, you could get one insurance license and do both life insurance and non-life insurance. But for very good reasons, the regulator thought it necessary to separate the two businesses, because human life is quite different from a building or a factory.
Yes.
We have reasonable expectation that you will live up to a certain timelines, what we call the life expectancy.
Absolutely.
So typically, the life insurance premiums are long-term in nature. If you insure a 20-year-old person, all things being equal, you expect the person to be working for the next 40 years.
True.
So you have the opportunity to keep the monies for a very long period of time. And when people have monies to be kept for a long period of time and they forget that the money is for the future, they may decide to use it for other purposes.
Very true.
The other insurances, which we call the short-term insurance or the non-life insurances, can be very short-term in nature. to the extent that someone can insure his car right now in my office, and just as he's about to enter the main road, there is a damage, and you have to pay.
Yes.
So the crystallization period, or the period which comes for which you have to make a payment,
Yes.
for the non-life insurances are usually shorter than the life insurances. So I'm sure for that reason, the regulator thought it possible, feasible,
Okay.
that if you want to operate life insurance, focus on that. So you need one license. If you want to operate non-life insurance, focus on that. So you need another license. But the good thing is, at Hollard, we offer both. And I must say that across the insurance industry in Ghana, some other companies also operate both. So typically you hear one name for the insurance business. You hear one calling itself the insurance, and the other calling itself the life assurance.
Okay.
But at a certain point, the brand merge and it becomes one. So Hollard has our Hollard Ghana Holdings, which is the holding business led by our CEO, Mrs. Patience Achianu.
Okay.
And then we have the non-life, which we call the general business, which is where I manage operations, being led by Mr. Daniel Ado. We do non-life. And then we also have Hollard Life Assurance, who will give you every life assurance product that you require.
Interesting. You absolutely have every facet of life and non-life covered. And so since we're tackling real estate today, we're definitely going to be leaning on to the non-life aspect. Now, I'm really curious. I mean, we often assume that insurance is insurance, and we often see that the difference normally comes when we get into the nitty-gritties and all that. But then I'm curious to find out how Hollard approaches property insurance.
Property insurance largely falls under the non-life. But in the course of the discussion, you will see that life also comes in, and comes in very handy.
Okay.
Depending on where in the value chain you stand. You see, insurance is a need. I've often said that where you see any government compel people to take insurance, it is not because they want to compel people to take insurance, but maybe the thing has become so useful that you don't have to leave it to the decision of an individual. When you live in a country, we all contribute to the economic development of the country. So typically they will say our gross domestic product or whatever is this huge. You may sit behind and not take note of your own personal contributions to that. Now, anything you do for a living contributes to this economic well-being of the state. That is where the government prides itself. So if something should happen to anyone which affects that economic well-being, the state should be worried. That is why sometimes they make some insurances compulsory. So motor insurance, for instance, is compulsory. Insurance of commercial buildings is, for instance, compulsory. But when you take property insurance generally, then you are looking at insurances on physical property, buildings, structures, whether they are used as factory, whether they are used as hospitals, whether they are used as private dwelling house. So Hollard's approach to property insurance is to offer, we call it a solution, that will meet the need of whoever the property owner is or whoever the stakeholder is. So depending on what structure it is, what you use it for, then we have a bespoke policy that will respond to your peculiar needs. And we see the change that is happening thanks to platforms like your own, where you would realize that in recent years, the property space is changing. I mean, 10 years ago, if you spoke of Airbnb, maybe somebody will look at you with a certain face. So you now have a mix of property being used for private dwelling purposes and also commercial purposes. At a point, the division used to be very sharp. It was either commercial or private. Now you have a blend of the two.
Mixed use developments and all that as well.
Definitely. So as an innovative insurance company, what we do is to follow the trend. Because at the end of the day, we are offering solutions. So if the problem changes, definitely you have to alter your solution to meet the problem of the day.
Absolutely. A few of your earlier statements actually responded to a question I had in mind, but then I will still pose it anyway. Do you think that, based on your assessment of the need, the unseen need for the average Ghanaian, do you think that at some point insurance, I mean, in its general form, be it life insurance, be it non-life insurance. Should insurance be mandatory? Should the government enforce it to a certain extent? Because many people end up either they go on pension or maybe something happens and they hit rock bottom so hard that sometimes family will have to come together, friends will have to pull some resources together to get that person back on their feet. And because they're not insured, it's like they are left to fall back to the bottom of the ladder and then climb their way back up. So should government probably indirectly ease the burden on the average Ghanaian by enforcing some form of insurance?
So there are two schools of thought. There are those who strongly believe that if insurance is that necessary, then it should be made compulsory, like we have for motor insurance.
Okay.
I may hold a slightly different view.
Okay.
I sell insurance. And when I sell insurance to people, I don't even talk about the compulsion side of it.
Okay.
Because I believe if I have a solution that works, I should be able to convince you. And that's what we do in Hollard.
Okay.
And indeed, if you look across the globe, the countries where insurance uptake is very high are not necessarily the countries where insurance is compulsory.
Okay.
It is rather the countries where insurance education is top-notch.
I see.
You see, and there is a strong correlation between insurance education, financial literacy, and literacy in general.
Okay.
So, the average Ghanaian is well lettered. Most people can speak or write very good English or some local language. I'm sure our literacy rate should hit somewhere in excess of 80%. But when you come to financial literacy, you are talking about something probably around 30 or 30 something percent. Now, when you drill down further, even in the financial literacy to insurance literacy, then you know that we have a lot of trouble.
A lot.
Most people, what they know about financial literacy is largely about the banks because they are saving their money, mobile money,
yes,
and those kind of stuff. So,
yes,
insurance education is that low.
Okay.
At Hollard, we believe that the best way to ensure that people are taking insurance is to let them see the value in it. And I must say we are on course. So, there are two measures that we use to measure, if you like, the relevance of insurance in the economy and how people perceive it.
Okay.
One of them, which is largely touted, is what we call the insurance penetration. Insurance penetration is basically how much insurance premiums contribute to the national GDP. And it is very small. Indeed, in Ghana, it is less than 1%.
Interesting.
So if you look at it from that angle, you would conclude that the contribution of insurance to our national development is that minimal. But many people are taking up insurance these days,
okay,
especially in the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And some of us believe that it is because insurance literacy has gone up. So there is what we call the coverage. That is the other measure. The GDP contribution may be low, but the coverage is how many people have one form of insurance or the other. And that tells you how people appreciate insurance. And it comes from education.
Okay.
The making it compulsory will come to, as it were, increase the uptake or maybe entrench it. But when people comply with something because they align with it, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you fall, the motor insurance is compulsory. But there are so many vehicles on our road who don't have insurance. You will find a way around it.
Very true.
But if I'm able to tell you why you can't leave the only car that the family is using uninsured, if I'm able to tell you why the building you've taken your entire working life to construct should not be left uninsured because fire can raise it down in a minute, I'm sure you are likely to buy into that than some building inspector coming to tell you that insure your building. If you have the opportunity, you will escape. So yes, I think it should be a blend of both.
Okay.
There should be some compulsion,
okay,
but the literacy should go up and voluntarily people will take up insurance.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm very excited about the platform that we have created and also curated over time. That is the Ghana Ground Up podcast, where we can also help with the insurance literacy drive by bringing you up to date with what insurance is about, the ones that you should be very keen on, and the ones that you should also be well educated on, because in the end, knowledge is power, and it makes a difference how much you know and what you know. So it's not just about being educated, you need to be financially literate. And even that, you need to know a lot about the insurance space to make sense of what it has to offer. So that gives us a very good segue into the aspect of the types of insurance you offer for a typical homeowner. Let's say I have a 2-bedroom apartment or even a 2-bedroom house, and I come to sit with you. What options would you present to me that I would have to consider for my property?
Good. So, first of all, you look at the relationship that you have with the property.
Okay.
If I say the relationship, what is the line between you and the existence or otherwise of the property?
Okay.
So, for instance, if you are a tenant,
yes,
then your interest in the building is the fact that you need the space to be available, so you keep on renting. If you are the property owner, yes, you did the construction, then probably, and you've rented it out, then your interest is the rent that you take on regular basis, whether annual or monthly. If you are, let's say, a financier, you don't own the property, but you provided the funds for the property owner to put it up, then it means that you're also protecting your finances in the property. So we look at all these things and ask further questions. For instance, if you are the property owner, are you living in it yourself? Then in that instance, you are the property owner and you are also the tenant.
Yes.
So it so happens that you own the property and probably the content in it. So once we have understood what the relationship is between you and the property and its content,
yes,
then we give you the appropriate solution. Yes. And I must say that wherever you stand in the chain, whatever your relationship is to the property and its content,
yes,
there is a bespoke insurance solution that Hollard would have for you.
Interesting.
So if you are the property owner and you have rented it out, so long as the property remains, you are taking your rent. You may not call it business, but it is business, because the rent you are taking as a result of your sweat is your reward for putting up the building.
Yes.
If the unfortunate should happen and the building should become uninhabitable, then it means that whoever is living in it as a tenant will have to find an alternative means of accommodation. So you are going to lose your rent. So at that point in time, your source of income is cut. Insurance will do two things. While fixing the damage to the building for you, the rent that you would have received if the building had not suffered that damage will still be paid to you.
This is very interesting, and I don't mean to cut you, but then I mean, with this explanation and with this new knowledge, I call it new knowledge because I do not believe that a lot of homeowners, a lot of landlords even know about this, because if they knew, I'm sure the uptake would have been even much more. So my message to every homeowner now watching this, whether you know somebody who owns a home or you're the homeowner yourself, or you have any affiliation with some property, definitely you need to find out more about home insurance, because as you can see, there's absolutely more to home insurance than just paying a premium, and then when something goes wrong, you can expect the insurance company to cover your back. So I'm really intrigued, and it's actually exciting to find out that Hollard offers bespoke solutions, and it's not just about one size fits all.
Definitely.
Bespoke, tailor-made solutions. So we've looked at what you can enjoy as the homeowner, and also the tenant inside, if it's your own home, and maybe you have a property and then you've rented it out. We've covered that. So let's say for the side of the tenant, is it required for tenants to also take up some form of insurance while they are inhabiting a property they do not own?
Okay, so there is a principle in insurance that we call insurable interest, and I will explain it in simple terms.
Okay.
Maybe let me start from why that principle.
Okay.
Years back, in the early days of insurance, you could actually insure anything, even if it didn't belong to you.
Interesting.
So you could actually insure a life that you had no affiliation to. So let's say if you heard that there's a armed robber in town and you wanted to make $1 million out of his life, because you know that someday he will be gunned down, you just insure him. You pay your small premium. The day you hear the good news that the person is gone, you go and cash out.
This is interesting.
So
this is interesting.
It is the fact
Okay.
that if you don't have a certain particularly financial attachment to something,
Yes.
or some property or some person,
Yes.
you don't care if the person is not there.
Mm.
And you may even be motivated to harm the person or damage that property.
Okay.
So before insurance would insure you for anything, for anybody, we want to see that you actually benefit from the survival of that thing.
Okay.
And that you suffer from the demise or the damage to that thing.
Okay.
So a tenant in a rented property, your only interest is the fact that the property should be there for you to live in.
Yes.
If the property is raised down by fire tomorrow, you just pack your stuff and then you go away.
Okay.
So generally, if you are a tenant, you cannot insure the building in which you live. Your interest is the items you bring in.
Okay.
What you call the household items, your entertainment equipment, your furniture, everything that you carry into the building. However, if you're per your tenancy agreement, your landlord requires you to take the insurance, that can be considered. Otherwise, if you don't have that financial interest or insurable interest, as we technically call it in the property, you may not be able to insure. So for a typical tenant, your focus should be on the items that you brought into the building. And these items, when there is fire, definitely they will go. Most often they are the first to go before even the building goes down. When there is flood, nothing may even happen to the building, but your whole stuff may be damaged. And then the common one, when there is burglary, you are out of the home. And most people in Accra, Kumasi, and the other commercial centers in Ghana, around this time of the day, most people have their homes unoccupied. What if you go back and there is breaking and your items have been stolen? Insurance would also make sure that you are giving back whatever you lost. So that you come back to normal as if nothing happened at all. Yes.
And I mean, talking about the aspect of the tenant, the aspect of whoever is occupying the property having an interest and all that, it brought up this thing that I came across some time back, where people would submit very fraudulent insurance claims. There are times when someone would probably go and crash his car and then try to claim an insurance cover for it. There are times when people will actually plot the demise of their loved ones just to enjoy whatever has accrued on whatever package they may have taken. How does Hollard try to make sure that you're dealing with somebody the right way and you're not entertaining or creating an avenue for all these false claims?
It's a very good question, and we hardly get asked these questions. Most of the people take the other side, that insurance companies will frustrate you when there is a claim. But you see, initially I mentioned that insurance is the pooling together of the resources of many people. And then using the funds so accumulated to compensate the few who would suffer a loss. So anytime you have somebody who is fetching from the pool, who is not supposed to be in the pool, then there is a problem. What that means is that at the end of the day, the genuine members in the pool will end up paying more than they should pay. So in the very advanced countries, every year, because they have very good data on insurance fraud and false claims, they adjust their premiums to reflect the level of fraud. So your premium can go up by, let's say, £3 or £5 simply because some people claimed who shouldn't have claimed. So what we do is to do our own due diligence in the event of a claim. And it is not meant to frustrate people. I mean, claims in Hollard is very straightforward. If there is anything that we are known for in the insurance market, not just in Ghana, but across the globe, wherever the brand Hollard operates, it is the fact that we pay claims fast and efficiently. So we don't, having this in mind, we don't start our claims processes when there is a claim. We start our claims processes when you buy an insurance product from us. I usually say that we are the only company probably in Ghana that I've seen where if you pick any of our documents we issue to you when we sell, the very first page talks about how to make a claim. Because once you are informed ahead of time what to do in the event of a claim, and the thing is, when you have a claim, you lose your senses.
Very true.
I've witnessed the fire incident where the property owner died. This is sometime back in Kumasi around 2006. And people then thought she intentionally jumped into the fire. And it can happen because at that moment, you are not thinking straight.
Very true.
So rather know what to do in the event of a claim before it happens. When it happens, you just need to revise your notes.
Okay.
What would we do? We just want to confirm that the incident happened. The incident that happened is what you bought the insurance for.
Okay.
When the incident happened, you suffered a loss. The loss you have suffered, it will cost ABC to fix it. The ABC that it will cost to fix it is the reasonable cost of fixing that damage. Once you are okay on that, the next day you get your payment. So it is about, once again, education. Letting the customer know that if you have a fire damage to your building, you will need a fire report.
Yes.
If you have someone break into your home to steal your entertainment equipment, you will need a police report. If you have a flood damage your property, maybe there should be some confirmation that on that day there was rainfall.
Yes.
And now there is available information. The Ghana Meteorological Services will let you know when it rained and when it didn't rain. So increasingly, we are having very fluid claims processing, and it is because education is ongoing. It is because people are told what to do in the event of a claim, and not when the claim has happened necessarily.
I am becoming even more keen on exploring all the other insurance products you have because of this understanding I have now that you are even more eager to process a claim than we may actually think. Because I mean, for the longest time, even from personal experiences, trying to get an insurance company to process your claim, to get your money and all that, come back in a week, okay, submit this document, is very frustrating. And to know that Hollard Ghana, and Hollard Life, to know that the entire body is actually very keen and has put measures in place to make sure they process claims very quickly is very interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people would begin to open their minds up to considering different types of insurance that you have. Definitely. And I'm wondering, concerning the premiums that you have, and you have your ways of calculating the premiums and all that, but then for the average Ghanaian, what factors would you consider that will affect the cost of the premium for the average Ghanaian? Let's limit this to home insurance.
Home insurance.
Yes.
And that's where it gets more interesting.
Okay.
So let me start by saying that home insurance is probably the cheapest insurance you can find on our market today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And people insure their cars and they are comfortable. And I tell them that your third-party insurance can equally insure your house.
You don't mean it?
Yes.
Interesting.
So what goes into how much you pay for any insurance generally? Then I will zoom into property insurance.
Okay.
Insurance is taking charge of your risk. So basically, we ask ourselves, what is your risk?
Okay.
This morning, I moved my car, I put it on the road.
Yes.
Right? I'm sure from where I live to my office, I may have met 1,000 cars.
Yes.
If not more. Mm-hmm. Each one of these 1,000 cars could have run into my car, or I could have run into them.
Yes.
So definitely, once you are mobile, your risk goes up. Once you have other people around you, your risk go up, because then it is not only about your judgment. It's about that judgment of the other people who surround you. When it comes to property insurance, the property is stationary. It doesn't move. So then you ask yourself the question, where is the property located? What risk am I covering the property for? So let's say if I'm covering the property for flood.
Yes.
And the property is located on top of a hill. Then probably when I sleep, I should sleep.
Yes.
But if it is in the valley, then the risk of flood goes up.
Okay.
We even pay for damage caused by fallen aerial devices. Okay. If a drone or an aircraft is in the skies and it drops something, and sometimes people think these things are so far from us.
Very, very true. Yeah, I wouldn't think of an airplane falling on my house any day.
Oh,
but it's interesting.
They do. Years back, an airplane dropped something somewhere around Adenta. Years back, we had a plane that came down around the Airwork
Yes,
Stadium.
that I remember.
These things do happen. The people who live around East Legon and then the airport hills will tell you when the plane is actually landing and you see it clearly, anything could go wrong.
Okay.
So if you live around that enclave, then we are asking,
Okay.
do you live around where planes fly? So then you have the possibility of something coming. Who are your neighbors?
Okay.
If your neighbor is into bakery and you have fire insurance, there's someone who works with fire.
Okay.
Or your neighbor is into water production, I'll be happier to insure you because even when there is fire, you need
Absolutely
the water. So you take note of everything that has the ability to elevate the risk.
Okay.
Or to minimize the risk.
Okay.
And that is what you use in determining your premium. Some of these things are actually within the capability of the property owner. So for instance, if you have insurance for burglary or theft, that we call it, you have installed CCTV cameras, you have dogs in the home, you have security in the home, the neighborhood has a watchdog committee. All these things will come into play to determine how much you pay for your insurance. Equally, if where you are living has a certain high exposure, then insurance companies will also charge you premium that corresponds to that. I mean, not too long ago, most insurance companies wouldn't even insure property around the Circle Enclave because of the 2015 flood.
Okay.
And recently, after the construction of the Obechebe interchange, it appears the drainage system has improved. So that is how insurance operates. Every innovative insurance company, you follow the trend. And like I said, you amend your policy or your solutions to reflect what is on the ground. So depending on where you are, depending on how the risk that you are being insured for is mitigated or elevated, your premium is determined. So no two people ideally should pay the same premium. And again, we even take into consideration not the personality, but the character or the behavior of the person asking for the insurance.
How do you mean?
So typically we would, insurance companies will ask you several questions when you are signing up.
Okay.
One of the questions you would typically ask is, have you suffered a loss before?
Okay.
Another question we will ask you, has any insurance company refused to insure you before? So you say, oh yes, insurance company A said they wouldn't insure my car.
Okay.
Then you find out why. Maybe every weekend you make a claim when you are back from the funeral. Insurance companies, it's a pool.
Yes.
When you enter it, your exposure that you bring in should determine how much you pay.
Okay.
Otherwise, everybody should be the same, but it doesn't work that way.
Okay. So looking at the aspect of location of a property.
Yes.
Let's say we're here in airport residential area. Let's say, will it take the same amount to insure a property, let's say a 5-bedroom house here in airport residential area versus maybe the same property in a place like maybe Adenta or Medina? Will it take the same amount, knowing well that land prices here are just out of the roof, and then Adenta would be definitely more manageable? Will it take the same amount to insure the two properties?
This is a very significant question that we hardly get asked.
Okay.
So generally my answer is yes, it will take the same amount.
Interesting.
When it comes to, and you understand it better than some of us, when it comes to real estate and property,
yes,
the location is everything.
Yes.
Insurance is only looking at the cost of reconstructing the property. I say if something happens and insurance has to pay for the land, then probably we are all gone. Because even after an earthquake, the land will resettle
Absolutely.
and recover. So insurance is not so much interested in the value of the land.
I see.
That is why I think most people perceive property insurance to be very expensive. So they say, oh, Charlie, even my car, look at how much I'm paying. Then this is Legon property. No. If you meet any professional from Hollard, he will tell you that in insuring your house, discounted by the value of the plot.
Okay.
And by the time you do that, you realize that the structure itself is not that much to attract any huge premium. So, all things being equal, a property located in Adenta or Kaswa should cost the same by way of insurance like a property located in the airport residential area.
Okay.
Sometimes, it is even possible that the one located in the airport residential area may cost cheaper.
Interesting.
Because of the proximity to the building materials and maybe availability of data. If you are constructing somewhere on top of the Ebri Mountain,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure your cost of construction could be higher
Absolutely.
than airport residential area because of even how you take the materials there. Otherwise, generally, the insurance of a 3-bedroom house in my village should cost the same as the insurance of a 3-bedroom house in East Legon.
Okay, interesting. So would you say that, now that we're talking about property insurance, I mean, there are people who definitely have, let's say, mixed-use properties.
Yes.
And so there's a commercial aspect of the property, there's the residential aspect of the property. What would be the difference between an insurance cover for a residential property and that for a commercial property? Okay,
so there is a law in Ghana that requires all commercial properties to be insured.
Okay.
The new Insurance Act, the Act 1061.
Okay.
I think sections 218 and 219 makes it mandatory for all commercial properties to be insured. Commercial property is any property into which the public has access. I mean, if you are selling, you are inviting every member of the public to enter into the space to buy.
Yes.
If you're operating a hospital, I can just walk in to make an inquiry or for the needed care. If you operate a factory, it's a commercial premises.
Okay.
That insurance is actually dictated by law, and even what you should insure for is also dictated by law. We sometimes, as a country, we don't celebrate what we have, but I think we have some good laws built out of our local problems.
I see.
So you remember that some time back, buildings were collapsing, shops were collapsing, buildings under construction were collapsing, killing the workers, sometimes killing shoppers and people who had access to the building. So this new law requires that if you insure your commercial property, you should insure it against fire. You should insure it against explosion. You should insure it against lightning. You should even insure it against collapse because of what you experienced.
Okay.
And then that insurance should also be extended to include compensation for people who get injured while on the premises.
Interesting.
So if someone is in the shop, I mean, recently, is it this year? I think one of the malls had a structure collapse.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure, given the insurance that they have in place, the insurance company will step in to compensate anyone who lost a property or a life through that collapse. That insurance is compulsory, and that is for commercial buildings. Now, for private dwelling, you also look at what risk you face. You may not be inviting members of the public into your house, but you still have visitors who come by.
Yes.
So, if you take Hollard Home Insurance, for instance, very innovative.
Yes.
We know that you can invite members of the public to come into your house. We know that even when you are in your own house, you can get injured. So you and your household, we give you personal accident insurance. The people you invite into your home, we insure you for what we call personal liability. If any one of them should be injured, let's say you invite me to your home, I come, your dog pounces on me, and these days you can see what some of the dogs can do to human lives. Then the insurance will compensate the person on your behalf. So the structure may face the same risk. I mean, fire can bring down a commercial building, can bring down a private dwelling house. Windstorm can take off the roof of a factory. It can take off the roof of a guest house. It can take off the roof of a private dwelling house. Explosion, whether domestic explosion with the gas we use in the home, it can split the building apart. All those things will be covered under both properties, whether it is commercial or it is private. But aside that, we look at risks that are peculiar to the commercial and offer them, or we look at risks that are peculiar to the private dwelling place and we offer them. Where you have a mix, then we make the solutions for you.
I'm beginning to see the bespoke element that you mentioned at the very beginning, because I mean, normally I wouldn't even think of what would happen if someone comes to visit me and my dog bites the person and all that. But it's very interesting to understand that you have even thought of such situations, and there is a solution once you walk through the doors of Hollard. I'm very much excited, and I'm even more grateful for this opportunity we have. If you are just joining the conversation, definitely we're talking to Hollard Ghana, and we are discussing the whole concept of insurance. We've discussed the aspects of life insurance, and also we are focusing on non-life insurance. We're zeroing in on home insurance. We've tackled the part of commercial properties. We've also tackled the aspect of residential properties, and there is more. Now, in your recent response, you made mention of buildings collapsing and all that.
Yeah.
I would like to look at that from the standpoint of a property developer.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any packages for property developers to mitigate things that happen? Maybe a worker slips, falls to the ground, maybe dies, maybe gets some fractures and all that, maybe the building collapsing. What form of insurance or what packages do you have for property developers?
Okay, so property development has a lot of stakeholders.
Yes.
Yeah, there could be the property owner himself, there could be the financier, there could be the uptakers, there could be the workers who are working on the construction. There could even be public officers who may come there to conduct one inspection or the other. The good news is that there's insurance for everybody in the space.
Mm-hmm.
There's insurance, not just for the structure, for the property owner. So you fly above our skies and you look at the number of uncompleted projects and you look at our housing deficit and you ask yourself, why should that happen? So for the financier, he's interested in the property owner's ability to repay the loan.
Yes.
The property owner has the interest of making sure that the property comes up on time for the patrons to take it up and pay their rent so that he can also service his loan.
Yes.
So if everything was to work perfectly, we shouldn't have any encounter.
Okay.
But buildings collapse in the course of construction. Buildings get flooded in the course of construction. Roofs are taken off in the course of construction. Walls break in the course of construction. Workmen get injured in the course of construction. I mean, every day we keep on hearing this news. Just last 3 weeks or so, there was a collapsed property.
Yes.
And there are laws. Unless something happens, you may think there are no laws.
Yeah.
Now someone will come, who is the architect, who is the engineer, where are the insurances in place?
Okay.
So I mentioned that for commercial property, the insurance is compulsory.
Yes.
That commercial property insurance is compulsory right from the day of construction.
Okay. Okay.
We usually call it contractors or risk, because at that point in time, it is assumed that the contractor is doing it.
Okay.
So either the contractor takes it up, the property owner takes it up, or the institution providing the financing can also take it up. Either way, there is insurance for it. Now, for the workers who are there, there is what we call the Workmen compensation insurance. It's one of the laws that were very good laws that were passed in the PNDC days. Most people are familiar with PNDC law 111.
Absolutely, that's what gets mentioned.
For its social benefit.
Absolutely.
But there is another law, PNDC law 187, which makes it compulsory for every employer in Ghana to compensate an employee who gets injured in the course of work. The only limitation of that law compared to what happens elsewhere outside Ghana is the fact that it stops at that. It says the employer is required to compensate the employee if he should get injured or even die or even get sick as a result of the work he's doing. Where the employer will get the money to compensate the employee, the law doesn't say it. In most jurisdictions, the law goes ahead to say for that reason, it is compulsory for the employer to take insurance.
Okay.
And that's what some of us believe has to be done as one of the compulsory insurance. The good news is you can take this policy with a non-life insurance business like Hollard Insurance, or you can also take it with a life insurance company like Hollard Life Assurance. They usually call it group life assurance. So while the person is working and he is injured, the person's medical bills will be paid for in full. If for any reason he loses his full capacity to work, there is a certified doctor who will determine the degree of incapacitation based on how much earnings the person was making. A certain compensation will be calculated, and that will be paid to the workman. Once you have insurance steps in to make that payment.
Interesting.
The better news, even if you have a group life insurance policy, which Hollard Life sells, is the fact that for that one, the injury shouldn't only occur when you are working. Even if it occurs in your home, when you are doing something on your own, unless it was intentional.
Okay.
Or even if there is no injury, but the person dies through natural causes. Let's say the person was sick, or if the person has contracted a critical illness which is not necessarily related to the work, a group life insurance policy will still step in to compensate the employee.
Wow.
So every stakeholder, the financier, the property owner, the contractor, the uptakers, the employees,
Okay.
there is insurance, appropriate insurance
Wow.
to take care of them.
Interesting. My basic understanding and even summary of what we've covered so far implies that you can insure anything and you
Yes.
can insure everything.
Yes. In fact, at Hollard, we say if you love it, we insure it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very interesting.
Once you love it, life,
Yes.
property,
Yes.
whatever, just love it.
Interesting.
We will preserve it with
Interesting.
insurance for you.
Interesting. I like how you drew some parallels concerning the number of uncompleted projects and also the housing crisis. The numbers get thrown around that we have about 2 million plus housing deficit and all that. But then one of the things that we have found to contribute to this is that beyond the price of properties, people also don't have access to easy financing to buy these properties. Now, when it comes to getting financing, definitely we're talking about mortgages. But then what also ends up happening is that a lot of people who get mortgages, 50-50, sometimes they default.
Yes.
And the default rate is quite high.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, does Hollard insure mortgages? I'm asking this question because someone approached us quite recently. The person is in the diaspora and wants to invest in a property in Ghana, but then wants to know if there are insurance packages that are tailored to mortgages. So in a sense where maybe he or she is not able to make repayment for maybe a month or two based on some issue, maybe switching jobs and all that.
Yeah.
Will there be a package that will step in and cover those payments and make things easier? I mean, do you have any policies along that line?
Yes, we do. And so you need a combination of both property insurance and life insurance.
Okay.
I mean, every financier will be interested in making sure that the property is well secured.
Yes.
And the sad thing is, most often when you see people come to take up property insurance, it is because the mortgage financier is requiring them to take it. And when I sit down with my friends and who come to take up this insurance policy, I ask them, look at the size of the bank. Look at your own pocket. I mean, the value of your property is probably a microcosm of the entire asset base of the bank. But the bank still insists that even your property, you should insure it and make them interested parties. So if the bank is so much concerned about your property, which is just a small portion of their assets, then probably you should be more concerned.
I see that.
Yes, to protect, because the banks have seen it all. Right? So the bank will make sure that the property is secured by way of insurance.
Okay.
And most often right from the construction stage.
Okay.
In fact, most financial institutions will even need some form of a guarantee that the contractor going to do the construction will do the job on time and to standards.
Okay.
We call it performance contracts.
Okay.
And insurance companies issue those guarantees as well.
Interesting.
So if you see a project that has failed and it had insurance, most often it comes back on time.
Okay.
But then the insurance company will step in to continue with the construction.
That actually was one of the questions I had in mind, because in one of our very recent episodes, we discussed this issue of what happens when real estate projects fail.
Yeah.
And for a lot of projects that have failed that we have seen across town and all that, normally once the developer runs out of money, everything grinds to a halt. So it's very interesting to know that you can take insurance that can step in for you and then get your feet, get you back on your feet. Because I see most developers in Ghana, instead of going to the banks to get facilities to build, I mean, they would rather not go because definitely the interest rates in the banks are so high and not very friendly. So they would normally rely on the payments that come from off-plan sales, from property buyers and all that. And very often, the home buyers also default on payments, so construction grinds to a halt. And it's very interesting to know that Hollard offers a package for developers where, should something like this come up, definitely construction will not grind to a halt.
Yes. And even for mortgage, I mean,
Yes.
once you are servicing your mortgage,
Yes.
and then maybe you default, and the bank forecloses it, they take it away from you, your family loses it entirely, depending on what caused the default. You know, insurance does not reward for intentional actions.
Okay.
I mean, so if you have a loan to service it, it's expected that you service it.
Absolutely.
If you default just because you are defaulted, that one insurance wouldn't come to your aid.
Okay.
But let's say whoever was the breadwinner and the person financing the mortgage has passed.
Yes.
I mean, no employer keeps paying a dead person.
No.
Hollard Life has what we call credit life assurance.
Okay.
At that moment when the person financing the mortgage passes, whatever the outstanding balance of the mortgage is, Hollard will pay.
Wow.
And the property becomes that of whoever the person bequeathed it to. So the other day I was speaking in my church and I said, I don't think that any death should go wasted.
Okay.
With the right life insurances, death is inevitable. It will come.
Yes.
But the economic impact of every death can be mitigated with life insurance. I've seen people being moved out of their houses because the person who was servicing the mortgage is no more. And I asked myself, maybe the person didn't get the right advice. Because once you have credit life insurance, it's so when the bank do financing, they insist on two things. One, you should have a credit life insurance on the person, the key person who is going to finance the mortgage. And then two, the property should be insured at all times. And they will end by saying, in the event of any claim, make payment to us, the bank. So when those arrangements are in place, the banks are comfortable. So sometimes it's not like the banks don't want to finance construction projects. They really want to, but they want to be sure that the right measures are put in place. And when the bank talks of right measures, you can never discount the role of insurance.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow. So it's really should now be a no-brainer for anybody and everybody to get some form of insurance, whether life or non-life, and even better, just have some bespoke solutions cooked up that covers all aspects of life and your properties and all that. Now, knowing the industry that we're in, real estate, and the current scene we are experiencing in Ghana, especially in the Greater Accra region, where most of the properties are high-end properties, and then as a result, most of the buyers or the target market has shifted from locals, who used to be the majority some years back, to the diaspora. Now, with the diaspora involved, are there any specialized packages for people in diaspora, or will whatever work for the local work for the one in the diaspora?
So generally, whatever works for the local will work for the one in diaspora.
Okay.
But we still take cognizance of the fact that these are people who may not necessarily be resident at every point in time.
Okay.
So typically, when you vacate your property for a certain number of days, your insurance is supposed to automatically cease. There are policy rationales behind it. I mean, when you read some of the very old books, they will talk about best pipe. We inherited some of our insurances from our colonial masters, so sometimes the language reflects them. But as innovative as we are, we have recaled them to meet our local needs. So at Hollard, for instance, some of the covers that we give, if you vacated your policy, your property for about 30 days, the insurance was going to lapse. But depending on who the person is, you may extend this to 60 days.
Okay.
So I have personal friends, more than 15 of them, who some of them don't even know where the property is. They live outside the country and they are insured. We are very digital. I mean, all it requires is get engaged, use any of our digital platforms.
Okay.
We engage, you do your bank transfer, we send you your policy documents. what we do for such people is we have a team in place. We call them the risk engineers.
Okay.
They would usually visit your property
Mm-hmm.
and give you a report. And there are times you have visited property that the people in Diaspora thought it was of a certain construction. But when the risk team went there, they found that probably it was different from what they thought. So it's one of the added service that we do, because you may not be able to visit the property. We will visit the property and tell you what we find. Yes.
Okay.
And when the policy is incepted, every year before renewal, we will notify you by email, by telephone, by WhatsApp. We tell you into which of our bank accounts you can pay your premium to. You equally give us your bank account details if there is a claim where we should pay you to. When you have a claim, you can sign our forms digitally. We don't need your physical presence. So really, indeed, borders is not an inhibition at all when it comes to signing up for property insurance.
Interesting.
These days.
Interesting. I like the fact that you mentioned digital tools, because I mean, I'm wondering, if I lived outside Ghana, do I have to wait and come back home before I come to your offices and all that? And it's very interesting that you mentioned digital tools. So does that mean that regardless of where I am, once I take a package, I can monitor, track, and maybe have my claims processed remotely? Is that the
Definitely.
case?
And I don't know how many of our claimants we see physically.
Interesting.
No, we don't.
Interesting.
So we put these systems in place sometime in 2018, 2019.
Okay.
I'm proud to say that as a business during COVID, when businesses were going down, we grew by over 40%.
That's a good number.
I've had friends ask me, why did you know something was going to come up? We said no. As a business, we manage risk.
Okay.
So when you think of good, you think of bad. And that is the good thing. By the time the bad comes, you have already asked yourself that question. So we've been digital since that time. I mean, we have a lot of our motor insurance claimants who don't even know where our offices are.
Interesting.
Yeah, they've received their claims and they're happy.
Interesting. So, can you remember some recent cases, or maybe much more distant cases in times past, where you saw Hollard Life or Hollard Insurance stepping in to make a difference in someone's life, where if it wasn't for the insurance, I mean, things would have been chaotic?
There are several. I mean, I say what keeps us motivated in this job is the fact that you see someone recover from a disaster.
Okay.
And that's the point where you see the relevance of insurance. Of course, as a people, we pray that nothing happens.
Yes.
But that's not the reality of life. Things do go wrong. And there are, especially when it's the nature of our job, anytime it rains heavily, when I get to the office, the first place I go is my risk department and the claim department.
Okay.
What are we hearing from the people?
What calls are coming through?
What is coming up? There are times you've even had to beef up the numbers of the risk engineers by using external consultants. We call them the motor surveyors. So that you will be sure that the many people who suffered as a result of that flooding are dealt with speedily, and then they are happy. And so many of them give you very good feeling, especially if you advised the client very well.
Yeah,
he was not just paid a claim; he was paid a claim that is enough to bring him back to his space.
Okay.
I'll share one that's registered almost indelibly on my mind.
Okay.
This was an old woman who didn't even know that she had insurance.
Interesting.
Yes, because she had taken a facility to finance the construction.
Okay.
And the bank would always insist there is insurance. Somewhere around that of years back. So when the claim was reported to the bank also reported to us. And we sent our risk engineer there to go and inspect the loss. And I mean, typically, someone who has had a disaster, people are coming around. Then we also bump in and say, oh, we are the insurance people. What are you here for?
Yes.
Oh, we deal with this bank. They've told us that this property is off. And so what? And we said, well, we are here to inspect and re-roof it for you.
Interesting.
And somebody like that, I'm sure insurance will always be a part of her.
Yes.
Look, we hear disasters. I follow all the disaster channels.
Okay.
The Ghana National Fire Service, the NADMO, If I hear an ambulance, I ask, where is it going? Because as an insurance person,
it could be
you
related
could
to
follow through
yes
to recover something.
Okay.
I mean, just last week, a mall in Kumasi was razed down completely by fire.
I saw that.
The big deal is not the fire. The big deal is whether there is fire insurance. If there is, this person will get back on his feet. And indeed, businesses that have been sustained generations upon generations will tell you that at a point in time, it took insurance for them to get back on their feet. So there are countless. The insurance industry together pays more than 9 million cedis every day in claims.
Every day?
Every single day.
Interesting.
Every single day. Look, I sit here, I sign checks. Almost every hour, the checks are coming. This is aside the bank transfers.
Okay.
We pay by Momo also.
Okay.
And people are benefiting from insurance. It takes one who has benefit to advise another.
Yes.
So, or it takes one who has seen the disaster very close. So in our sales job, sometimes when there is a fire and you go into the neighborhood, people are likely to listen to you. But unfortunately, after 2 days, everybody forgets
everything dies down. Very true.
Everything is normal.
Very, very true. Very true. Well, based on the trajectory of Hollard, and I know it's in your purpose to be Ghana's favorite insurer, and from all indications, you are doing just that. Looking at the insurance landscape, how do you see insurance in general? I would have limited it to just property insurance.
Yes.
But then how do you see insurance in general evolving in Ghana over the next couple of years? What can we expect?
I think it can only get better.
Okay.
And like I mentioned, it depends on how well we as practitioners we educate the populace.
Okay.
Sometimes I hate to say that insurance is complex and technical, but it appears people find it so. It is our duty to demystify it. That is the reason why for us at Hollard, a platform like yours is a great opportunity. For some years now, we've been doing insurance literacy virtually in every space that we can find on the university campuses, in our markets, amongst professionals. We are holding webinars, seminars. We are participating in events. As I speak to you now, my MD is in Takoradi for an oil and gas conference. We want to be where people require protection and then offer that solution. I strongly believe that if this is complemented with policies that may be issued by government, whether by way of compulsory insurances or something, the insurance landscape in Ghana would change. Look, motor insurance is not compulsory in South Africa.
Interesting.
Their insurance penetration is over 13%.
Way more.
Yes. And it is simply because if you met a South African child, even in the primary school, he's able to tell you the relevance of insurance.
Interesting.
Why haven't we been able to do that? For most of our people, the first time they may hear of insurance is probably when they buy their first car. Why are we not incorporating it into our educational curriculum?
Absolutely.
So that people see, if you don't have something in abundance, the few you have, you've got to protect it. I tell people we already have a huge housing deficit. If the Lord blesses you enough and you exit that association, don't go and add back by losing the one you have. So if it is insurable, insure it. In the next 5-6 years, I think insurance will be different in Ghana. And I've seen many companies do just like Hollard have started doing, and we are happy. Every opportunity to educate someone on insurance is an opportunity to broaden the base of insurance. It will not just be beneficial to insurance companies. No, it will protect the entire economy. Families will be aware of. People have had to stop school because an uncle died, because a father who has so much prospect and hope for the children died. And I asked myself, the body could have been gone, but the purse could have been secured with proper life insurance.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to one question that I got, I think, just yesterday. So she wanted to know, as an average Ghanaian, who has a job and all that, is there any insurance package that they can take up which will put some money aside for them towards acquiring a property? Reason being that properties are very expensive in Ghana. I mean, generally, a property is likely to be one of the most expensive investments that you'll ever make in your life. And when we limit it to ourselves, saving can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
And the inconsistencies, the surprises that come up and all that. So she wants to know if there are insurance packages, or if there is one that maybe she can invest in, put her money aside, and then maybe over the next maybe 5 years she could have some lump sum to put towards a property. Do you have any package like that, or can you cook up something?
Yes, we do. I mean, and I like the way you put it. Even when we don't have it and the question is asked, for us at all, like, immediately it means that there is a need.
Okay.
And that's when we go to the office and we begin thinking about it.
Okay.
But there is. You see, we are told that we don't have a good savings culture. Everybody, if you have the opportunity to save, you will save. I think rather what we have that disturbs our savings is we have too many contingencies. And what insurance does is to enable you to reduce your contingency to something that you have planned around. So if I set up that I need a property, which will cost me $100,000, maybe today I'm able to save 500 cedis every month. How sure am I that I will be able to save this 500 Ghana cedis for the next 10 years to enable me buy that dream property? Then I ask myself, what can happen to push me to go into that investment and take money for something that I didn't plan for? And most of you, these things, they are general to human life. There can be a funeral where you are the uncle, you live in Accra. Everybody in the village expects that you bring the funds to do the funeral the way we do it. So once you know there is that reality, there is a funeral insurance for you. I have a car which I'm driving. That is what takes me to work every day. If the car should be involved in an accident, I will need 50,000 to fix that car. This 50,000, because I don't have it sitting in my bank account, I will have to go into my savings to take that money. Remember, you're already depleting the funds you are building for that plot. So then you come back. What can I do so that in the event of an accident to the vehicle, I don't go into the savings fund? Get comprehensive insurance.
Okay.
I have one house I'm living in now. I'm saving towards another one. What can cause me to go into that savings? This building can be involved in fire. This building can collapse. A car can run into my wall and break it. If that happens, do I have a contingency fund to go into it? No. Can I create one? Yes. How? Insure the building. So you see, insurance follows the problem. Whatever problem you identify, and sometimes you can identify it yourself. And people say that if you think you have, I think somebody mentioned that if you think you've heard the most dangerous things in life, wait until you meet an insurance salesperson.
I mean, I can imagine the volume of stories you've heard, situations you've had.
We appear to be doom-mongers.
Interesting.
But no, we only speak about the realities of life. And the good news is we don't leave you hanging in there. We tell you how to prepare for it using insurance. So yes, we have those packages. And then maybe to add, even when you want to save towards that property, you can use insurance as a vehicle. What the life insurance product, the universal life insurance products, has investment component. So sometimes people buy life insurance products, and then after 10 years, when they come for their money, they say, oh, if I had put this money in the bank, I would have gotten more. What insurance does, which the bank or that other investment vehicle will not do for you, is that the day you start saving towards that dream, insurance will guarantee you a certain amount.
The guarantee?
Yes. So even after 6 months or after 1 year, if your contribution is not up to that dream amount and the person passes, or the person contracts a critical illness that will not enable the person to continue contributing, insurance will pay that guaranteed amount, which will be multiples of what you have given to them already.
Interesting.
The other investment vehicle will only give you how much you have contributed plus interest. So depending on when something happens for you to cash in your insurance, you may always see insurance as not giving you enough. But when the reality dawns and then something happens while you are contributing and you get that lump sum, then you realize that, oh, indeed, insurance was the right decision for me to take.
Interesting. You've said so much. You've said many deep things. You've covered almost anything and everything I would have thought of to find out more on regarding insurance. But then in your closing remarks, what would be your advice to a young, let's say 25-year-old Ghanaian young man or young lady who is just starting life? What would be your advice regarding insurance in order to get it right?
Okay. My advice would be that wealth is built.
Okay.
When building wealth, be sure that while you go chasing the new ones, the ones you have already are secured.
Okay.
I've met a lot of young people who think they have nothing to insure. And I give them a simple advice. When you get home in the evening, go into your room, pick everything you have and begin to put value on it. Pick the blender, pick the wig, pick the shoe, pick the iron, pick the bed.
Interesting.
By the time you realize, you will notice that you are richer than you thought.
Very true.
You were.
Very true.
So start from there.
Okay.
You can secure what you have already by buying insurance. And when you buy this insurance, you have cover against almost every eventuality. Fire, lightning, explosion, impact, burglary, earthquake. And by the way, it is not expensive. I've said it is not expensive. Let me give you a good idea of how much.
I would really love to know that.
Yes. So Hollard has a product where if you pay 35 Ghana cedis for the entire year, you protect your household items. As a young person who doesn't own the property, what you own is your stuff, your content, your shoes, your dresses, your bags, your laptop, everything in your room for up to 10,000 Ghana cedis.
Interesting.
35 Ghana cedis probably can't buy an average lunch in some places in Accra.
And that is every month?
Every year, not month.
The 35 Ghana cedis.
It's every year.
Oh no, hold on.
That's when it gets interesting.
Okay, so you mean if I paid 35 cedis every year, not every month,
not every month,
every year, I could enjoy a coverage of up to 10,000
Ghana cedis.
You know, this actually, finding this out actually breaks my heart now, because if I had known this maybe a little over a year ago, I would not have even needed maybe more convincing. So what happened was that a little over a year ago, my house was burgled, and someone broke into my house, stole 2 laptops, stole 2 cameras, literally made away with all my work equipment. And it took me some time to get back on my feet, and I have still not fully recovered. And knowing that 35 Ghana cedis could have really helped me to this extent, I mean, to the point of, I mean, to the tune of 10,000 Ghana cedis, I don't see why in fact, I probably may just walk away today, signing up to that package, knowing well that regardless of what happens, I have some sort of cushion to fall back on. So if you are watching and then you are probably wondering, you have the misconception that insurance is very expensive. Well, you've heard it from Alex, and he has said it. And I mean, if he has said it, I mean, it's not from me. So you know very well that it is authenticated, and it is true that even with 35 Ghana cedis every year, not every week, not every month, I mean, just 35 Ghana cedis a year can insure your properties, like what is the content of your house for up to a tune of 10,000 Ghana cedis. This is interesting, and I don't see why you would be holding back from signing up to this package.
Indeed, when it comes to even the physical property itself, it's even cheaper. And the reason is the property cannot be stolen. Okay. The property cannot be burgled. So that risk element of burglary is gone. So if you have a house that was 10,000 cedis, of course, no house is 10,000 cedis. Yes. You can pay as low as 20 cedis a year, and you get your cover. So a house worth 100,000 cedis, you pay 200 Ghana cedis a year. Entire year, you have cover for flood, fire. If thieves should break into it and they damage the doors, you have cover for earthquake, aerial devices, impact, almost everything that you can perceive, even ground heave or what we call subsidence.
Yes.
Sometimes you see some buildings with time, a part of the ground goes down and the building has. We cover all those things for us. If your house is 1 million Ghana cedis, all you pay in a year is 2,000 Ghana cedis. Not a month. You see, sometimes because life insurance premiums are paid monthly,
Yes.
people also think that property insurance is also monthly. No.
Okay. So
It's
that
yearly.
is yearly.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have that property, $1 million. All you need to secure it is to pay $2,000 for the entire year,
Okay.
and you are good to go.
Wow. That is not even up to. I mean, that is 0. That is a
0.2.
infinitesimal. Yes.
Sometimes, yes.
Interesting. Not even 1%.
No, not even not half of
Not
1%.
even 0.5.
Not even a quarter of 1%.
Interesting. Well, you've had it all, and I'm very much grateful that we've had this opportunity to speak with Hollard Ghana. I would like to say a very big thank you to the group CEO of Hollard Ghana, Mrs. Patience Achanu, who made a way for us. And I would like to say a very big thank you to Aviel. She also made a huge way for us. I mean, without her, probably we would have had to reshuffle and all that. And I want to say a big thank you to Alex as well for having us and just freeing up his day to accommodate us. I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts on what you picked up from today's episode. And as always, this is where you should be to find out more about Ghana's real estate sector. And I mean, for today's episode, we really touched on almost everything, or probably everything, about insurance, home insurance. For that matter, we've zeroed in on home insurance. So do well to stick and stay as we cover more topics on Ghana's evolving real estate sector. Alex, thank you so much for having us. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. We don't take it lightly.
Thank you too. You're also very, very grateful. And once again, good job. I mean, what you are doing is very impactful.
Thank you very much.
We hope that someday everybody will see why you needed to do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, today's conversation really reminds us that buying a property is not the finish line. It's just the beginning. We spend months choosing the right location, the right tiles for our homes, the right paint and all that. But then sometimes we forget that one thing that keeps everything safe and together is insurance. From fire to floods to burglary and damage, property insurance is not just an extra cost. It is protection for your peace of mind. So whether you're a homeowner, you are a landlord, a developer, the lesson here is very simple. Insure what you've built and do well to understand what your policy actually covers. Do well to ask questions as well and get clarity on whatever you're signing up to. Don't just wait until something goes wrong before you start thinking of protecting your home, because a little preparation goes a very long way. If you found this conversation useful, do well to share it with someone who owns a property or who is planning to buy one soon. Let's start normalizing these conversations, and not just about buying properties, but also about protecting properties. And as always, if you want to hear more deep dive discussions like this one, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, and follow us on our social media platforms to be updated on upcoming episodes. I'm Desmond Kafui, and this is Ghana Ground Up, where we break down matters concerning real estate in Ghana, one conversation at a time. I'll catch you in the next episode.